Hey guys, this is Kirob speaking, and in today's little dev update we are going to talk mainly about two things, and that will be first of all the current status of the open beta, and we are going to talk about what is coming up next as a final addition to this revamp before we are going into the default branch so that everyone gets the update. Not only the brave souls that have been testing the open beta for us. So first up is the current status of the open beta, and for that I don't really have to show you anything, I guess. Overall, we are pretty close to getting this all polished up and fixed, and yes, some of you are still having some issues with the wheels, and that's actually an issue that happens way too often for how little of how specific a case you need to create in order to get that bug. It is when you have your tires beyond effective year 2025, which should basically never happen. But okay, you're all building hypercars in the modern era, so I guess that's happening to you, your hypercar specifically. But anyway, so this will be fixed in the next update. We are aiming to release that one tomorrow. That would be on Friday, and that includes a final fix for the tire bug, and also some other minor changes, as well as something a little bigger, and that would be that challenges are back and all working. Yeah, in our own build we have an office, the challenges are working, and we have been working, which segues nicely into what I'm going to talk about next. We have started on creating the base structure, the important base structure of how cars will be handled from a management point of view in the Lite campaign, and that includes the facelift mechanic. Now let's take a look at some UI mock-ups which show how that will work roughly. They are rough mock-ups and we've already changed a few aspects, but let's talk about that. Alright, here we are outside of the game. This is not in automation, but I'm recording it such that it looks like it, and a mouse pointer so I can point out things. Okay, so this is an early mock-up of the facelift UI that will be part of the Lite Campaign V3. And we want to put this UI into the game at this stage such that you can get familiar with creating a model and several trims and then generations of that model, or we call them facelifts. It's not really generations because the next generation would use a different body such that it is assigned a different body year, but it would in the marketing department be seen as the next generation. We call them facelifts instead, and as you can see here, this would be like the Griffin and the Griffin Mark II. They are 4 years apart, and then there's a 5-year period for the Griffin Mark III. Currently selected is the first facelift, the Mark II version. Don't be overwhelmed by all the shit on the screen right now. You wouldn't, of course, encounter it the first time this way, but this is trying to show all UI elements at the same time. How does this work? Well, you arrive on this screen from a kind of project manager, kind of car/project manager, and this is a way to cycle through it. So this is your model, and it was created in 1994, and it has these locked in stats or design choices. When you first get here, you would be able to name it and then edit your model, which all the trims that are listed on this side are based upon. So you start out with your first facelift, your original model, and you start adding trims. This will be switched around a little bit, so the engines, this is this column, will be over here instead, and this column, which is the trim itself, will be over here, because you first need to create an engine just like the normal flow in the current sandbox. The timeline down here you should ignore, because this is not where this timeline is only available in the designers itself, which you then enter through the various edit buttons on here. So this is basically a structured overview of your model, and tracking all the stats for it, and also which target demographics they are, which body type they're using, and so on and so forth. The timeline on this screen would be car design, which is, or the car overview, which is where you are here right now. So this would be something similar to this icon. And then the next step would be engineering, then factory setup, then marketing, and then distribution. I think that's roughly what it would boil down to. Some sign-off screens there too. So basically what we had in the Lite Campaign V2 is split up into the design phase, which is now one level deeper in here, so that this timeline doesn't explode completely and that you have a better overview overall. And the overarching steps, which are design phase, the engineering phase, and so on. So this is reflected up here, and you can see that this car, the first Griffin in this instance, where we are currently working out the new facelift, is in production, blue. In this case here, in this draft means in production, and you can't change anything in there. Green stuff means you can change it, and this would be the marketing or demographics, and this would be the distribution of the car. Of course, you can change the marketing and distribution for something that is in production. Red in this case means it's not fully designed yet, and there are more things to do. And this icon in this case means engineering. I don't have the proper icon for that in here right now, but yes. So you can track the status of your current generations easily via just some indicators, and you see on your models where they are and what stage they are, if they need to be completed and whatnot. So let's say you have designed your first model and put like 5 trims into this model, and you have designed all of these 5 trims, you have put them through engineering and everything, just like you did in the Lite Campaign V2. And now down the line, like maybe 2 years down the line, let's say 2 years down the line, you decide, okay, in like a year or two, I want probably to have a facelift done. So you go in here and copy your previous generation facelift to the new one, which copies all your trims over to the new generation. And here you can select if you want to facelift that specific trim or not. So you don't have to revise all of them, but rather you can select and pick a few, which the ones you want to have updated. At that point, every single one would be green or blue, depending on whether you choose to update the trim or not. In this UI, you will also easily be able to just make a clone. For instance, you want to add a new trim that was not part of the previous facelift. That's completely fine. You can always do that. So in that case, you would just clone the closest one to what you want to create and then edit it and add it to the list that way, and it will be part of the first facelift, the first non-original facelift. So yeah, I think that works pretty well. Also, you will be able to select a target demographic, which will be the first one pinned, so that you can keep an eye out for on what you wanted to create and how well you're succeeding at that. And these are these numbers. These are the current ratings for the cars and their market impact, so to say. You can get more information than just the names and the scoring and the year by expanding the selection, which shows you all the main and secondary car stats and gives you the 3 top scoring demographics for that car currently. Also, it shows its engine, and remember, this column will probably be here, and they're swapped. So it also shows its engine, and yes, you will be able to reuse engines. Well, in the Lite Campaign V3, in Sandbox, you already are able to do that, but that will definitely be a part of Lite Campaign V3. You are able to not only do facelifts of cars, but also revisions of engines. And here we have the equivalent for the engines. Engines are completely separate from cars, just like in the Lite Campaign V2. They need their own factories, but now it will be possible, in the Lite Campaign V3, it will be possible to assign to a model, which is a car with all its trims and facelifts. You will assign several factories to that one model and or family of, when it comes to engines, it's families. So if you want to if you're at the limit of your capacity, you want to add a new trim or 2 new trims or something with new engines, then you can just build a new factory and add that to it. But that, of course, will cause delays because that factory will have to be tooled as well. Anyway, that should be it for today. So we will release a patch tomorrow. And there's something else I need to mention there. There will be a car design competition coming up very shortly, which will run for 2 weekends unless we encounter problems. And yeah, that will be awesome. There are some really cool prizes. So keep your eyes peeled for another video coming up on this channel as an announcement regarding that competition. And I think there will be something for everyone in there. And I hope you all join in.